Hi, everybody. I hope that everyone can hear me. Um, Welcome to week 6. You made it. Yay. Um, I know that this week is for the design reviews. Um, so today I'm gonna try to go like a little faster with our class so that you can have more time for this week. I know that some of you have some of the design reviews tomorrow. Um, Probably you're a little stressed, hopefully not. Um, but having a little more time is always good. And as always, this video is gonna be available for all of you at the end of the class. And Robin is uploading all the PDHs also to YouTube so that you can access those at any time. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing as before. I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna learn in the class, and the best way of learning is just going through one project and just do the 3D modeling. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. I hope that you like it. At the end, you can ask me any questions. Um, Even if you don't have any questions today and you have questions later, just let me know so that I can help you if I can. So let's just start. Okay. I hope that everyone can see my screen. So for our second class for today, we're gonna be 3D modeling a small box with a hinge, and we're gonna animate it so that you'll be able to like open and close it. But we're gonna learn a little more. Well, this is probably the first time, but we're gonna learn how to set up user parameters. That's very helpful if you want to modify things, and it's gonna help you also. I mean, if you already know the dimensions of the things that you wanna build, that's gonna save a lot of time for you when you are making your 3D model. We are gonna create a joint that's for the hinge, and we're gonna talk a little bit over the whole class, how to prepare this piece for 3D printing and the animation. So it's just opening and closing the box. Okay, so let's just let's just start. Um, Again, last week I realized that if you are using Mac or Microsoft, there's a little bit of a change between the interface, but it's pretty much the same. So if you have a Mac, probably it's just a little different, but still you'll be able to find all of the things here. Okay, let's start. The first thing that we need to do is to set up some of the user parameters, but let's go to our preferences first. So for some of the Mac, you're gonna find like preferences on one side. For me, it's gonna be over here. So just click on your profile and go to preferences. And this is gonna help you for 3D printing. So here in default modeling orientation, you should be sure that you have the Z up. If you don't have it, it will be nice if you change it to Z up, because this is gonna be your model on the bed of the 3D 3D printer. So if you set this as a C up, that's gonna assure you that your model is gonna be on the bed of the 3D printer. Most of this function probably is already set up as a C up, but if you don't have it, it's nice if you change it. Today we're gonna be working again with millimeters. It's better in my opinion, and it's just easier if you're gonna 3D print also. Okay, so let's start with creating a new component again. So for our box, and let's click on assemble and create new component. It's gonna be a standard component, and we're gonna change this name to button box. Okay, and from body is standard. And okay. All right. So now we're gonna start drawing our shape for our box. So we're gonna use our keyboard. If we press letter R, that's gonna be for rectangle. So we can select one of our faces. We're gonna start with the bottom face for this first rectangle. Okay, so we'll click on that one, and it'll take us to the bottom face. We're looking this from the top right now. So we're gonna start creating that rectangle from our center point. So let's click on the center, and again we can see the rectangle happening right now. And let's write 70 millimeters. We're gonna press tab again so that we lock the dimension. And we're gonna do also 70 millimeters over here. And again, we're gonna press tab to lock the dimension. By locking those two dimensions, you can just move the mouse and you decide where to place your rectangle. In this case, we're gonna be printed over here. Okay. So we have this already. Let's change our sketch name. For this particular project, it's good to have names because we're gonna have like different pieces. So that's good just to have everything organized and you don't get lost. So let's name this sketch. Let's change the name and let's change it to bottom box. Okay, or just box. All right, so we already had the box, and now let's go and explore a little bit about the user parameters. So to do this, we're gonna go to modify and change parameters. The cool thing about the user parameters is that if you already know some of your dimensions, this is just gonna help you a lot through the whole process of creating your 3D model. But also, if at some point you want to change some of those dimensions, you can change it over here in the user parameters, and it's gonna apply those changes automatically to your 3D model. So that's what I find cool. So for this project, we are gonna create 3 parameters. The first one is gonna be, we're gonna name this wall thickness. Wall thickness is for our 3D printing. We're gonna create some shells around this tutorial, and that's just gonna save some time for us. Be sure that your units are in millimeters. And for this one, we're gonna have 3.3 as a dimension. We're gonna click OK. That's gonna be for our 3D printing. Let's add another one, and it's gonna be the box height. Yeah. For the box height, we're gonna have 70 millimeters. And the last one that we're gonna have is gap. This gap is gonna help us when we create the hinge. So we have gap, and we're gonna have 0.5. All right, so everything looks good over here. Let's click on OK. All right, so let's start creating our box, and let's extrude this sketch. So to extrude, we're gonna press the letter E in our keyboard, and that's gonna help us extrude our sketch. And let's try it over here. So we already put in our user parameters 70 for our box height, so we can just look for it. If we write box, so we just start writing box, we're gonna have here the box height parameters. So we just click on it, and that's gonna give us automatically that those dimensions, the height from that box. Okay, so we're good there, and we're gonna click OK. Good, so we have our box now, and we need to make this box hollow. So let's make the box hollow. So of modify and shell. We need to make the box inside hollow. We are not gonna go to one of the faces. So to do this, we're gonna need to select all the faces in our box. Like this. Okay. So the faces are selected. And now we're gonna click inside. We need to have the inside thickness, and we can write over here wall thickness, because that's what we have before in our user parameters. So wall thickness, and then OK. So you see right now you don't know if the box is hollow inside, so we need to check on that. And the best thing to do that is going to inspect and what is it? And section analysis. Okay. So we just need to click on one of the faces. You can choose any face of the box. And let's see this one. And we can move this arrow over here. And right now we don't need to add any dimensions or anything. We just need to know if this is hollow. So we're gonna move this. And as you can see, this is our wall thickness, is 1.3 millimeters, and our whole box is hollow right now. So what we did work. Okay, so let's click on cancel, because we don't need to create any section. Okay. Good. So this box, we need to cut it in half, because after that, we're gonna use those two hubs, and we're gonna have our hinge in the middle to create the box opening and closing. So let's go to construct and offset plane. And let's click on the top of this box. And we're gonna need a distance. For this distance, we already know the height of the box, that is 70, and we put it in our user. Well, we put it before there. So what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna write minus and button height, box height, but we need to make this cut right in the middle. So we're gonna divide this in two. So that's a whole height of the box divided in two, that is 35. Okay, so everything looks good. We're gonna click OK. Okay, so we already have the middle of the box there. Now we're gonna use that to cut it in two. So we're gonna split the cube by going to modify and split body. Okay, so first we need to select the body that we are gonna split. So our cube, and then we're gonna go here to splitting tool, and we're gonna need to select the construction plane with this one. If everything looks good, I'm gonna click OK. All right. So now we have two different bodies in which we're gonna work. We're gonna work with those the whole tutorial. So we're gonna go on this side first, and we're gonna rename those bodies. So body one, that's the bottom box. Let's just rename. And this is our top body. Cool. So we already have those two, and we don't need this plane anymore. So we can just, if we press the letter V, that's gonna hide this plane, because we don't need it. So we'll just select it and we click, we press V. All right. So before I forget, let's just save this just in case that something happens. Let's call it hinge box. Cool. Now we need to start creating our hinge. Okay. So to do this, let's click on one of the faces, probably this of our bottom body, right click, and we're gonna click on create a sketch. So we need to start creating a hinge in the middle of the body. So let's zoom in, and let's start with creating a line. So let's create a line in the middle of the body. So let's press the letter L for line, and let's click on the middle of the body and the center. And over to the right. Okay. We don't need anything else right now. Cool. So let's press C in our keyboard. That's for center circle. Oh wait, I forgot one thing. Sorry guys. So this line, we need to have it with one dimension. So from this middle, we're gonna have 2.95. Okay. And now we can press the letter C to create our center circle. So we're gonna go to the end of this line over here, and we're gonna create 3 circles that are gonna help in that hinge development. So let's create 3 circles. We'll modify the dimensions later. So that's our first circle. Here's the big one, our medium circle, and a small circle for our pin. Okay, those look good. Now we're gonna press the letter D for dimensions. We're gonna be pairing the circles with the dimensions that we have before. So the first one, Our first circle is gonna be the big one, so this one over here. So we're gonna start with the small one. This one is gonna be our inner circle, and we're gonna pair this with the wall thickness that we wrote before. And we click enter. Our median circle is gonna be paired with the gap for our hinge that we selected in our user parameters. That's good. And our big circle, we're gonna be using again the wall thickness. Let's work with those that way. So we're gonna need to create one part of the hinge, or two parts of the hinge that we're missing. That is pretty much structural. To do that, we're gonna click again letter on the keyboard. We're gonna press the letter L for a line, and we're gonna draw a line from this side, on one of these edges, to a tangent, and we're gonna do the same on the other side. Tangent. Okay. But we need 45 degrees angle over here. So that's easy to do. We're just gonna press the letter D for dimension, and we're gonna select the edge from this side, and we're gonna select also this line that we created, and that's gonna allow us to give an angle here. So this is gonna be 45, and we're gonna have 45 also on this other side. We're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna repeat pressing letter D for dimension, and we're gonna select on this side, and we're gonna select this one, and we're gonna write 45 for our angle. Let's do that one again. Okay, 44 dimension and 45. All right, that works. That's good. Then the hinge is looking good. Let's go now here to the left side, and let's rename something so that we don't get lost. So this is sketch. Let's just change it to change this name to hinge. That's good. Let's use this box to go back to our home position. Okay. So let's start creating the hinge. We're gonna need to have a good view of our sketch and also our box. So we're gonna hold the key shift, and we're gonna need to select the bottom of our sketch and the outer circle, so the big one. So let's press on shift, keep pressing the letter shift, and we're gonna select the big circle. Okay. And we're gonna extrude that part of our hinge. So we can do it just easy. Again, if you press on E for extrude, we can extrude that part, and we know that it's 70, but this 70 needs to go in the other direction. So we just add the minus that it goes the opposite direction. If that looks good, then in operation, you need to have new body before you click on OK. And everything looks good, so let's click on OK. So now that we already created this body, we are gonna hide it because we're gonna create the one on the top. So we're gonna use our same sketch, and this time we're gonna hold shift again. We're gonna select this top one, and we are gonna select the 3 circles. Okay. And again, we're gonna press letter E for extrusion, and we're gonna have minus 70. We're gonna change in operations to a new body, and we're gonna click OK. So this also looks good. Let's hide this one for a while. I mean, we're gonna need it, but not right now. And we are missing the pin that goes in the middle of the hinge to, keep everything in place. So we're gonna do the same. We're gonna extrude the same way, but just this little circle over here. So we're gonna press E for extrusion. We're gonna select the small circle. There's already an E body, and minus 70. All right, that is good. And we can hide that pin again, just like the other pieces. Okay. Now we need to break our hinge, what we just extruded, in 3 pieces to be able to work. So we are gonna hide everything that we have, so including our sketch and this top piece of the box. Okay, and we are just gonna keep the bottom piece. Okay, so as you know, our box is already open. We need to click on this edge of the box, and we're gonna right click, and with that right click, we're gonna select create sketch. Okay. So now that we have this like this way, we're gonna create a rectangle. And for the rectangle, again, we're gonna be pressing letter R to create the rectangle. And we're gonna create like little pieces of the rectangle, and then we're gonna use those pieces. We're gonna extrude those pieces so that we can cut through the extrusion of the hinge that we created before, so that we can have the 3 pieces of of a functional hinge. So let's click on the letter R for rectangle, and we're gonna start creating those rectangles, small rectangles from this center or from this edge of our box. So let's click on it, and we already have the wall thickness, so we're gonna be using the wall thickness for our height. So okay, that's my mistake. Let me just delete that one. Thickness. Okay, tab to lock in place, and then 5.5 millimeters. Tab to lock that in place. That's good. So we're gonna click outside just to put it in place, and we need to create another box on top of this one. And we're gonna be doing the same thing. So press the letter R for a new box, and we're gonna start from this edge, right, our gap that we have before, and again 5.5. Tab. Sometimes I forget to press tab, but it's very important. 5.5, that is good, and tab to lock in place. Okay, so that's good too. Now we need to create another of these pieces in the middle of our box. And I promise we are almost over. So let's draw a line in the middle. To draw the line, we're gonna be using letter R for line, and let's find the middle. Okay, so as you can see, you know what the middle is because there's a triangle that shows up. You know that that's the middle of the box. So in that middle, we're gonna create, or we're gonna draw a line. It doesn't matter where you put it. This is just like a reference line. Okay, that looks good. And just okay. Okay. So we're gonna create another line, and this line is gonna go down. So let's press L for a line. We're gonna start from that middle point down, and we're gonna write 11. What is gonna make degrees? That's not what I need. Okay. Okay, so we need 11.5. I'm just gonna have to lock in place. That looks good. The opposite way. It's gonna use. Okay, that looks okay. Tap to lock in place and then escape. Everything is good. And we're gonna create another rectangle at that point. So we're gonna press again letter R for rectangle. We're gonna start from there. It's gonna be 5.5 again, and we're gonna use our gap parameters. So first gap. Okay, we're gonna press tab to log in place. For some reason, that's not gonna work. This again, gap. Tab and 5.5. Okay. Finally, that looks good. So we have other pieces to extrude, but first we need to use our mirror tool because we're gonna be cutting also at the other side. So to do this, we're just gonna select all of our triangles. They look good. We're gonna go to our mirror tool. So that's gonna be a sketch, and we're gonna select mirror. Okay, we have all of those pieces, and the mirror line is gonna be this line in the middle. So if we can see, we have all the other pieces at the other side. You can do this also with 3D objects that you already have in case that you need more. So everything is good. I'm gonna click OK. It's good. Now we're going to extrude all of this. I'm gonna get rid of this line. I don't think that we need it anymore. Let's select everything again. And I'm gonna change the home position so that I can see them. And we're gonna press E for extrude. Oh, I don't need all of them. So the only pieces that we need to extrude right now are the small rectangles. So this is a small one, this one, this, and that one. Okay. We're gonna extrude the other ones, but we have to start with this one. So now that we have those, we need to turn on all the bodies because we're gonna go through all of them. Oh, that's something. I did it in the wrong place. Okay, let me just modify this one. Sorry guys, I did it in the wrong place. I'm just gonna create them very fast here again. Okay, we have time. For future references, just remember where you're working. Okay, we'll get through this. We will. Okay, that one is good. Mm, Just bear with me a little bit. Okay. So when you work with, don't forget to disable the construction tool. If not, well, you had to do it again. So tab, gap, okay, almost there. Okay, I'm selecting everything and I'm mirroring everything now. Cool, finally. So now we finally have our bug. I just want to be sure, yes, I did it in the right place. Okay, so now we're gonna be extruding this. We're gonna select, we're gonna click on E for extrude. We're gonna select this um, small pieces for our gap, and we're gonna turn on our bodies. So we need this one, that's the pin. Okay, so as you can see, we have our top and our bottom body. That is good. And now we're gonna extrude. For extrude, we're gonna select direction to side. And for extend, in distance, we're gonna say O. And for side 2, we're gonna say O2. That's gonna cut all of those pieces. For operation, a cut, just we need to cut it. And if everything is good, just okay. Good. So now we have all of these bodies, and we need to delete the body so that the hinge can work. So we're gonna get rid of this one, this top one. We're gonna get rid of that one, that one, and the bottom one. Okay. So 4, 3, and 10. So we're gonna select those for the 4, 3, and 10. And we're gonna right click and we're gonna click on remove. Because remove is gonna hide them very much instead of deleting them if you need to like go back to them. So we're gonna just remove. Okay, that is good. We're almost there. So let's create a component for on the top. Let's right click on the top body. Where is it? Okay, so this is our top body. No, that's the bottom. Top body. Right click, and we are gonna create components from bodies. So we're gonna click over there, respond the show up over here, and we're gonna drag that one or that component to the top body one. That one to the hinge box one. That's gonna create kind of like a nest so we can see it here. That's gonna help us to like work with the animation. Okay. So now let's rename the hinge. Okay, we need to turn this one on. We need to move all of this, all the top pieces to the top component. So we need that one. That is a top piece. We need this one that is gonna be top piece and this one. And we're gonna move this one to top body. Okay. So that looks good. That's the pieces that we need over there. And we are gonna add a joint. We can just put this one over here. We're gonna use the hinge or the pin to create our joint. And to do this, okay. So to do that, we're gonna go to assemble. And as field joint. And we're gonna select our we're gonna select what is it? We're gonna select our small components from the pin. That's gonna help us move it. So let's select that piece. Yeah, let's select that one. That probably will work. And instead of rigid, we're gonna change it to revolve. Well, the first thing that we need to do before that, assemble again, we need to select both of the bodies. We're gonna revolve, and we're gonna choose this small circle that we had before. That's gonna help the hinge to move. If that is good, then we can click on OK. I mean, this is if you click on animate, that's gonna show you kind of the hinge, but that's going like around in 350 kind of degrees. But I guess you can see how it's gonna work. Say that everything is good. If you double click on this piece on the side, on this arrow, oops, no, this arrow, double click, you can play with it. But at least if you're creating something, I don't know, something for a bike or for a door, that can help you see, I mean, how it's gonna look or how it's gonna work. So that can be necessary or that can be important if you're working on those things. To have this ready for 3D printing, I would suggest if you want to like print the whole piece in one, let's say minus 180 degrees. The hinge is working, so you shouldn't have like any problems when you 3D print. You can 3D print everything in one piece, and the hinge should work that way. But having it touching the bed, you probably won't need a lot of support for 3D printing in this piece. If you want to, this is pretty much the end of the tutorial today. But if you need to like evaluate that mechanism, that hinge, and you don't want to spend a lot of time to printing things that you don't need, you can always have the hinge and you can reduce the size of this box. Easy ways to reduce that size is going to your sketch from the beginning. Or even if you don't want to use the sketch, but you can always change. How is the box? You can always change your dimensions. Let's say 20. That's gonna change it automatically in your design. Okay. Um, so you can always change all of these dimensions, and when you go back to your design, finish the sketch. Well, I changed the wrong one, but if you change the other size, you can always just play with those dimensions, and everything is gonna change to your previous design. So this was 17. Let's change it here. Of course, you had to make it better than what I did, so that both pieces would change. And if you go again to change parameters, you can always change the parameters to anything that you need, and that's gonna change also size of your model. But you need to be very precise with all the measurements. Um, I wasn't precise with some of them. That's why I'm not getting the other piece. I know I am. Um, but you need to be very precise with all of your measurements. So this is all for today. I'm sorry that it took a little more than what I was expecting. Um, if you have any other questions, you can always ask me, email me, or even in Teams for Fusion, Rhinoceros. I know a little bit of Inventor, but I can always search and help you with any of those things. I hope that, let me just stop sharing. I hope that your week goes well and that all of your reviews goes well. I think that everyone is gonna do great. So thank you for being here today, and the recording is gonna be available here after we finish, and also later in YouTube. So thank you guys.